There's a remarkable plant in this world that perfectly captures the essence of what I'm about to share with you. The Chinese bamboo tree stands as one of nature's most powerful teachers of success. When you plant this extraordinary tree, something fascinating happens. Or rather, nothing seems to happen at all. For 5 long years you water it, nurture it, and tend to the soil, yet not a single shoot breaks through the ground. Not one visible sign of growth appears to reward your efforts. Many people would give up. They'd look at that barren soil and conclude they'd failed. But those who understand the magic of this tree keep going. They continue watering, continue believing, continue taking action without any external proof of progress. And then in the 5th year, something miraculous occurs. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo tree suddenly shoots up 90 feet into the air. Think about that for a moment. 90 feet in 6 weeks. But here's the truth that changes everything. That tree wasn't just sitting idle for 5 years. Underground. It was building an elaborate root system, creating a foundation so strong it could support its massive growth when the time came. Every single one of you listening right now is building your own root system. Each book you read, each skill you practice, each small step you take toward your goals, these are your roots growing deeper and stronger. You might not see the results today, tomorrow, or even this year, but like that bamboo tree, you're creating something unstoppable. This brings us to a fundamental truth about developing an unstoppable mindset. Success isn't about instant gratification or overnight achievements. It's about maintaining unwavering faith in your abilities and your goals, especially when there's no external evidence to support your beliefs. It's about showing up every single day, doing the work, and trusting in the process. The bamboo tree doesn't question whether its growth is possible. It doesn't wake up one morning and decide it's tired of growing roots. It simply continues its natural progression, following its inherent blueprint for success. You too have this blueprint within you. Your mind, just like that tree, has everything it needs to create extraordinary results. As we move forward today, I want you to hold on this image of the bamboo tree. When doubt creeps in, when progress seems slow, when the world tells you to give up, remember that beneath the surface, you're building something remarkable. Your unstoppable mindset isn't built in a day, a week, or even a year. It's constructed through consistent, dedicated effort, through unwavering belief, and through the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your time will come. This is where your journey to an unstoppable mindset begins. Not with a dramatic change, but with a simple decision to persist, to keep going, to maintain faith in your potential, even when the evidence isn't yet visible to the world. Because like that bamboo tree, when your moment comes, nothing will be able to hold you back. Right now, in this very moment, someone is making a decision that will completely transform their life. They're not signing a $1 million contract. They're not accepting an award. They're simply choosing to do something small that most people won't do. Maybe they're lacing up their running shoes at 5 a.m. while their neighbors sleep. Perhaps they're reading a book instead of watching television. Or they could be saving a few dollars that others would thoughtlessly spend. Let me tell you about Tom, a truck driver I met in Phoenix. 3 years ago, Tom was overweight, in debt, and feeling trapped in his life. But one morning, he made a simple choice. Instead of hitting the snooze button, he got up 30 minutes earlier. He used that time to walk around his neighborhood. Just 30 minutes, just walking. Nothing extraordinary, nothing that would make headlines. The first week was hard. The second week was still hard. But Tom kept making that same small choice, day after day. After a month, that choice became automatic. Walking became as natural as breathing. Then Tom made another small choice. He started listening to educational audio programs during his drives instead of music. Again, a tiny decision. But these programs taught him about personal finance. He learned about saving, investing, and managing money. Tom took what he learned and made another small choice. He decided to save $5 from each day's earnings. Not $500, not $50, just $5. Many people spend more than that on their morning coffee. But Tom saved it consistently without fail. These small choices started compounding. The morning walks became longer. The $5 daily savings grew into an emergency fund, then into investments. The knowledge from audio programs turned into practical actions. Today, Tom has lost 87 pounds. He's debt-free and has a growing investment portfolio. He started his own logistics consulting business on the side, all from small, seemingly insignificant daily choices. This is what successful people understand that others don't. Life-changing success It's rarely about the big moments. It's about the small choices you make when nobody's watching. It's about what you do on ordinary Tuesdays, not what you do on New Year's Day. Consider Sarah, a single mother working 2 jobs. She couldn't find time to pursue her dream of becoming a writer, but she made a choice to write just 1 page every day, no matter what. Some days that meant writing at 11 p.m. after her kids were asleep. Other days it meant waking up at 4 a.m. 1 page every day. No exceptions. 3 years later, she's published 2 novels and quit one of her jobs to write full-time. How do successful people maintain this kind of consistency? They understand 3 fundamental principles. First, they don't rely on motivation. Motivation is like weather. It changes constantly. Instead, they build systems. They create environments that make good choices easier and poor choices harder. They put their running shoes by their bed. They prep their healthy meals in advance. They block distracting websites during work hours. Second, they understand that consistency isn't about perfection. It's about resilience. They know they'll miss some days, make mistakes, face setbacks, but they never miss twice in a row. If they skip a workout on Monday, they're back in the gym on Tuesday no matter what. They don't let temporary failures become permanent ones. Third, they link their daily choices to their larger purpose. They understand that each small decision is a vote for the person they want to become. When you choose to read for 30 minutes, you're not just reading, you're becoming more knowledgeable. When you choose to save money, you're not just saving, you're becoming financially independent. When you choose to exercise, you're not just burning calories, you're becoming healthier and more disciplined. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. The same way money multiplies through compound interest, your daily decisions multiply to create your future. If you improve just one each day, you'll end up 37 times better by the end of the year. That's the power of small choices compounding over time. But this works in reverse too. If you become one worse each day, you'll decline nearly to zero over the same. Right now, your habits are shaping your destiny. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every time you choose to do the easy thing instead of the right thing, you're shaping your future self. Every time you choose the hard but necessary path, you're building the life you want. The most important thing to remember is your life changes. Your life changes the moment you make a new one and committed decision. Not next week, not next month, not next year, right now. The small choice you make in this moment will ripple through time, affecting countless moments to come. Most prison cells we live in aren't built with steel bars and concrete walls. They're built with thoughts, beliefs, and self-imposed limitations. I want you to try something right now. Make a fist with your right hand. Now try to lift that fist with your left hand. You can't, can you? Because you're the one holding it down. This simple exercise shows exactly how most of us live our lives, holding ourselves down while blaming outside forces for our limitations. I remember standing in a manufacturing plant in Detroit, talking with Mike, a factory worker who'd been in the same position for 22 years. I can't start my own business, he told me. I don't have a college degree. Yet 6 months later, Mike had launched a successful maintenance company with 3 employees. What changed? Not his education, not his experience. What changed was his understanding that his biggest limitation was the 6 inches between his ears. Your mind is like a thermostat. It's set to a certain level of success, happiness, and achievement. Until you change that setting, you'll always return to your programmed level of achievement. Just like a thermostat keeps a room at 72 degrees, your mental thermostat keeps you in your comfort zone. The good news, you can reset this thermostat, but it requires understanding something crucial. Fear is simply excitement without breath. Think about that. The physical sensations of fear and excitement are nearly identical. Racing heart, sweaty palms, butterflies in your stomach. The only difference is how you interpret these sensations. This isn't just positive thinking. It's practical psychology that you can use right now. Here's a practical technique I call the 5-second sprint. When fear strikes, count backward from 5 to 1, then move. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. This interrupts the fear response in your brain and creates a new neural pathway. It's how Susan, a former accountant with a lifelong fear of public speaking, became a professional trainer. She didn't wait to feel confident. She used the 5-second sprint to push through her fear. First for small office presentations, then for larger groups, and finally for international conferences. Another powerful technique is what I call controlled discomfort training. Start with small, manageable discomforts. Take cold showers for 30 seconds. Strike up conversations with strangers. Speak up in meetings when you'd rather stay quiet. Each small victory over discomfort builds your resilience muscle. It's like weight training for your mind. Consider David, a software engineer in Seattle. He started with 30-second cold showers. He hated every second, but he did it anyway. Then he increased it to 1 minute, then 2. Soon he was comfortable with being uncomfortable. This new mindset spilled over into his work life. He started proposing ideas in meetings despite his natural shyness. He volunteered for presentations he would have avoided before. Within a year, he'd earned a promotion that typically took others 3 years to achieve. The key to breaking through mental barriers isn't about eliminating fear or discomfort, it's about moving forward despite them. Imagine you're driving at night. Your headlights only illuminate the next 200 feet, but you can drive across the entire country this way. You don't need to see the whole journey. You just need to see the next step. Let me share a powerful truth. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has felt fear. The difference is they understood that fear is often a compass pointing toward growth. When you feel fear, it's usually a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Building mental resilience isn't about being fearless. It's about creating a new relationship with fear and discomfort. Start viewing them as indicators of opportunity rather than warning signs to retreat. When you feel fear, ask yourself, what's the opportunity here? What could I gain by pushing through this? Consider the 10-10 rule. When facing a fearful decision, ask yourself, how will I feel about this 10 minutes from now, 10 months from now, 10 years from now? This perspective shift helps you see that most fears are temporary, but regret is permanent. Mary, a 58-year-old grandmother, used this rule when considering whether to go back to school. 10 minutes after enrolling, she felt terrified. 10 months later, she was challenged but proud. 10 years later, she was running her own counseling practice, helping others overcome their fears. The temporary discomfort led to permanent transformation. Remember this, comfort is the enemy of achievement. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay the same. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're breaking through another mental barrier. These breakthroughs compound over time. Each one makes the next one easier. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to make you successful. It's programmed to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. This was great for survival in prehistoric times, but in today's world, it can keep you trapped in mediocrity. You must consciously override these default settings. You must remind yourself that temporary discomfort is the price of admission for an extraordinary life. Think of mental barriers like paper tigers. They look fierce from a distance, but up close, they're far less formidable than you imagined. The only way to discover this truth is to walk toward them, not away from them. Each step forward proves that you're stronger than you thought, more capable than you believed, and braver than you knew. Success leaves clues. Throughout history, every successful person has followed certain fundamental principles, whether they realized it or not. I'm going to share with you a formula that's so simple you might be tempted to dismiss it. But I promise you this, if you apply these principles exactly as I describe them, your success is not just possible, it's inevitable. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. Or worse, they don't aim at all. They're like an archer shooting arrows without a target, hoping to hit something valuable. Think about that for a moment. How can you possibly hit a target you haven't defined? Here's your first assignment. Take a blank piece of paper right now. Right now, write down your number one goal. Be specific. Don't write, I want to be successful. Write, I will earn $120,000 by December 31st next year, or I will open my own restaurant by June 1st. The power of written goals is almost magical. When you write something down, you're engaging your brain in a completely different way than just thinking about it. I witnessed this power firsthand with Robert, a salesman from Chicago. He'd been in sales for 15 years, always performing adequately but never exceptionally. One evening, sitting at his kitchen table, he wrote down a clear goal. I will be the top salesperson in my company by selling $2 million in products this year. He didn't just write it once. He wrote it every single morning. Within 10 months, he had achieved it. When I asked him what changed, he said, for the first time, I knew exactly what I was aiming for. But writing goals isn't enough. You need a system to achieve them. This is where most people go wrong. They have a goal, but no plan. It's like having a destination, but no map. Here's the success formula broken down into actionable steps. First, take your written goal and break it down into monthly targets. If your goal is to earn $100,000 in a year, that's $10,000 per month. Now break that down into weekly goals. That's $2,500 per week. Suddenly, your big annual goal becomes a series of manageable weekly targets. Next, identify the daily actions that will lead to these weekly results. What specific activities done consistently will generate $2,500 in weekly income? Write these down. This becomes your daily action plan. Remember, success is created twice, first on paper, then in reality. Time management isn't about managing time. It's about managing yourself. We all have the same 24 hours. What separates successful people is how they use these hours. Here's a powerful principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of your activities will generate 80% of your results. Your job is to identify that 20% and focus on it relentlessly. Consider Maria, a real estate agent who was working 70-hour weeks but barely making ends meet. She tracked her activities for 2 weeks and made a shocking discovery. Only 3 hours of her daily activities, making direct calls to potential sellers, following up with serious buyers, and hosting open houses, generated 90% of her income. Everything else was busy work. She reorganized her schedule to focus on these high-value activities. Within 3 months, her income doubled while her working hours decreased. Here's another crucial element of the success formula, the power hour. Identify the most important hour of your day, the hour that will have the biggest impact on your goals. Guard this hour like it's made of gold. No phone calls, no emails, no interruptions. Just focus work on your most important task. Your action plan must include what I call non-negotiables. The activities that happen no matter what. These are like brushing your teeth. You do them regardless of how you feel, what the weather's like, or what else is happening in your life. For a salesperson, this might be making 20 calls before noon. For a writer, it might be writing 1,000 words before breakfast. For an entrepreneur, it might be reviewing and updating their business plan every Sunday evening. Here's a technique I call the success hour formula. First 20 minutes. Review your written goals and plan your day. Next 20 minutes. Learn something new related to your field. Final 20 minutes. Take action on your most important task. Do this first thing every morning, before the world starts making demands on your time. This 1 hour will transform your life if you commit to it consistently. Remember this vital truth. Planning without action is dreaming, and action without planning is chaos. You need both. Your written plan is your roadmap, but you must walk the road. The most beautiful action plan in the world is worthless if you don't execute it. Let me share something crucial about action plans. They must be flexible. Think your plan like a GPS system. When you make a wrong turn, it doesn't scold you or give up. It simply says recalculating and finds a new route. Your action plan should work the same way. When something doesn't go as planned, recalculate and keep moving forward. The final piece of the success formula is accountability. Share your written goals with someone who believes in you but won't let you off the hook. Meet with them regularly to review your progress. This external accountability can be the difference between giving up and pushing through when times get tough. Success formula is simple but requires absolute commitment. Write your goals, break them down, plan your actions, execute daily, adjust as needed. Stay accountable. This formula has created more success stories than any other combination of principles I know. The only question is, will you use it? In our modern world, focus has become as rare as diamonds and just as valuable. The ability to concentrate deeply on one task without interruption might be the most important skill you can develop in this age of endless distractions. Your phone buzzes 150 times a day. Emails flood your inbox. Social media beckons constantly. In this environment, the person who can maintain unwavering focus holds an almost unfair advantage. Let me tell you about Richard, a brilliant software developer who struggled to complete projects despite his talent. His mind constantly jumped between tasks. He checked his email every 5 minutes. His phone notifications interrupted every concentrated effort. Then he learned something that changed everything. The human brain takes 23 minutes to fully return to a focused state after each interruption. 23 minutes. Think about that. 3 interruptions per hour means you never reach your peak mental state. Richard started using what I call the focus fortress technique. First, he identified his peak focus hours. For him, early morning. Then he created an environment where focus wasn't just possible, but inevitable. Phone in airplane mode, email closed. Dr. Shot, sign outside, reading deep work in progress, available at 11 a.m. Just like you wouldn't try to read a book in the middle of a rock concert, you shouldn't try to do focused work in an environment designed for distraction. The results? Richard completed in 2 focused hours what used to take him 8 distracted ones. His productivity soared. His stress plummeted. All because he understood this fundamental truth. Focus is not about forcing yourself to concentrate. It's about removing the things that make concentration impossible. Here's a powerful technique for building mental stamina. The focus ladder. Start with just 25 minutes of completely focused work. No phone, no email, no distractions. Use a timer. When it rings, take a 5-minute break. That's one focus block. Most people can't even do this at first. It feels like holding your breath underwater. But just like a muscle, your focus grows stronger with practice. Once you can consistently complete 1 focus block, move to 2, then 3. I know people who can maintain peak concentration for 4 hours straight. They're not smarter than you, they've just trained their focus muscle systematically. Consider Angela, an accountant who felt constantly overwhelmed. She started with 1 25-minute focus block each morning. The first week was hard. Her mind wandered. She felt the constant pull of her phone. But she stuck with it. By week 4, she could do 2 blocks. By month 3, she completed all her important work in 3 focused hours, leaving the rest of her day for meetings and lower priority tasks. Here's something crucial about focus. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you don't do. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain can't actually do 2 things at once. It switches rapidly between tasks, depleting your mental energy and reducing your effectiveness at everything you're trying to do. Think of your focus like a flashlight beam. You can disperse it and light up a large area dimly, or you can concentrate it and cut through steel. Most people live their entire lives with dispersed focus, never experiencing the power of concentrated effort. The single task challenge can transform your productivity. Pick 1 important task, write it down. Now commit the next hour to that task only. If you notice your mind wandering to something else, gently bring it back, just like in meditation. If you remember something important, write it down quickly and return to your task. Don't switch tasks, no matter how tempting. Mark, a business owner, used this technique to write his company's business plan. Previously, he'd spent weeks working on it while actually switching between emails, phone calls, and the document. Using the single task challenge, he completed it in 3 focused days. The quality was better, the thinking was clearer, and the process was actually enjoyable. Here's another powerful focus technique, the MIT method, most important task. Every evening, identify tomorrow's most important task. Do it first before opening email, before checking your phone, before the world can interrupt you. This one habit can double your productivity. Building mental stamina requires understanding energy management. Your brain uses 20 of your body's energy despite being only 2 of your mass. Like an athlete, you need to manage your mental energy carefully. Work in focused bursts, then take real breaks. A true break means standing up, moving around, looking at distant objects to rest your eyes. Scrolling through social media is not a break. It's just a different type of mental load. Create focus triggers, signals that tell your brain it's time for concentrated work. It might be putting on noise-canceling headphones, clearing your desk except for 1 task, or lighting a particular candle. These triggers, used consistently, become powerful focus enhancers. Remember this, distraction is the enemy of greatness. Every time you check your phone, every time you switch tasks, every time you allow an interruption, you're choosing mediocrity over excellence. That might sound harsh, but it's true. The quality of your focus determines the quality of your work, which determines the quality of your life. Your ability to focus is like compound interest for your career. Small improvements in focus applied consistently create dramatic improvements in results over time. An improvement in focus each day means you'll be twice as effective in 70 days. Start today. Right now, pick one important task. Clear your environment of distractions. Set a timer for 25 minutes. And focus like your future depends on it, because it does. In a world of endless distraction, your ability to focus deeply will set you apart more than almost any other skill you can develop. There's a moment in everyone's life when everything changes. For some, that moment has already passed, and they missed it. For others, it lies somewhere in the future, waiting. But for you, that moment is right now. This second, this breath, this heartbeat. This is your turning point. I watched a man named Frank sit in a similar audience 20 years ago. He heard similar words about taking action. Like many others, he nodded his head. He agreed with everything. He felt motivated. And then he did what most people do. He waited for the perfect time. He waited until he had more money. He waited until his kids were older. He waited until he felt ready. Frank ran into me last year. His hair was gray now. His shoulders stooped with the weight of regret. He said something I'll never forget. I wish I had started then, because then is now gone forever. The cost of waiting isn't just time. It's life itself. Every day you postpone taking action is another day added to the end of your journey. Another day before you reach your goals. Another day before you become who you're meant to be. Think about this. If you had started 1 year ago, where would you be right now? Here's what you're going to do in the next 5 minutes. Take out your phone. Open your calendar, schedule your first milestone for exactly 1 week from today. Make it small, make it achievable, but make it significant. Maybe it's writing the first page of your book. Maybe it's making your first sales call. Maybe it's signing up for that course you've been thinking about. Now here's the crucial part. Tell someone about it. Not just anyone. Tell someone whose opinion matters to you. Tell them your milestone and ask them to hold you accountable. When you commit to another person, something shifts in your mind. What was once a wish becomes a promise. What was once optional becomes necessary. The human brain is designed to move away from pain and toward pleasure. Right now, your brain is comfortable. Change feels like pain. But I want you to understand something. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. Choose your pain. Your turning point demands more than just decision. It demands action. Small actions taken immediately carry more power than grand plans for the future. Right now in this moment, you can send that email you've been postponing. You can make that phone call you've been avoiding. You can write that first paragraph you've been dreaming about. Remember this? A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. 5 years from now, this moment will either be the point where everything changed or just another moment that slipped away. The choice is yours. The time is now. Your turning point isn't coming away. It's here. Take action. Take it now. Take it before this moment becomes another memory of what could have been. Throughout our time together, we've uncovered the blueprint for an unstoppable mindset. Like the bamboo tree, you now understand that growth happens beneath the surface long before results become visible. You've learned that small daily choices create magnificent transformations. You've discovered how to break through mental barriers that once held you back. You've gained the success formula that turns dreams into reality. And you've mastered the art of unwavering focus in a distracted world. But knowledge without action is like having a powerful car without fuel. It looks good, but it won't take you anywhere. Right now, countless people across the world are hearing similar messages, reading similar books, attending similar seminars. But only a tiny fraction will actually transform their lives. Why? Because knowing isn't enough. Feeling motivated isn't enough. Only action, consistent, persistent, determined action, creates lasting change. Let me share one final story. In 1983, I met a young woman named Helen in a small diner in Kansas. She was working the night shift, serving coffee and pie to truckers. Her hands were rough from work, her eyes tired from long hours. But there was something else in those eyes, a spark of determination. She told me she wanted to own her own restaurant someday. Last month, I visited Helen again. Not in that diner, but in one of her 12 successful restaurants across 3 states. Her hands are still rough. Now, from checking kitchen operations and shaking hands with customers and employees. Your eyes still show fatigue. Now, from reviewing expansion plans and trading new managers. But that spark, it's now a blazing fire that has inspired hundreds of employees and served millions of customers. What made the difference for Helen? She started. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for perfect conditions. She started where she was with what she had. She saved every tip, learned every aspect of the business, made countless mistakes, and kept going. She understood that success isn't about where you start. It's about that you start. Here's my challenge to you. Don't let this be just another speech you heard. Don't let these words fade into memory without taking root in your actions. When you leave here today, do something. Anything. Make that call. Write that plan. Take that first step. The world doesn't need more people who know what to do. The world needs more people who do what they know. You have everything you need right now to begin. Your circumstances may not be perfect. They never will be. Your resources may be limited. They always are at first. But you have the most powerful resource in existence, the ability to choose. Choose to start. Choose to persist. Choose to become unstoppable. Remember, life will never be less busy than it is right now. You will never be younger than you are today. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your turning point. The next chapter of your life is blank, waiting for you to write it. Make it a story worth telling. The only question that remains is this: when they tell your story, will they say you waited, or will they say you acted? The choice is yours. The time is now. Thank you.